May it please the Court, Guy Cook, Des Moines, Media Past President of the Iowa State Bar Association. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you regarding the ISBA Diploma Privilege and Blue Ribbon Committee recommendation to the Court. Let me just give a little background and then I'll get to my remarks. Of course, the Blue Ribbon Committee was a committee put together when I became Bar President. My focus as Bar President was on the next generation of lawyers and the future of the law practice. And in that regard, we put together a committee of folks from across the state, urban and rural, liberal, conservative, old and young, lawyers and judges, to look at the process in which lawyers are educated in the state and the way that they're licensed, and to also address some of the things that are happening presently with law students and the debt that they have and the coursework that they're taking. They met over 6 months, reviewed considerable material, debated subjects, and came up with this proposal, which is twofold. It's not just one thing, it's two things. One, it adopts the uniform bar exam that makes the exam results immediately portable to 14 other states if you take the UBE. It also has a special track for those students who graduate from Drake or Iowa and specifically complete 3 years of specified coursework as approved by the Iowa Supreme Court, also pass the background check and complete the ethics exam. So it's twofold. And what we're really here to talk about, at least I am, is the notion of the diploma privilege, which we think this Court should adopt as a bold, progressive, forward-thinking step for the practice of law in Iowa and the public who will be taking advantage of lawyers serving them. The proposal, I think, is innovative for this reason. It marries the law schools with the court and the bar to ensure greater competency. This proposal is not about making it easier to become an Iowa lawyer. It's not about lessening the standards of competency. It's about making them better, more comprehensive. Because as we all know now, those persons who are admitted to the practice of law in Iowa essentially take a multiple choice test of 200 questions and a handful of essays that does not test over Iowa law. The public would be surprised to learn that. What this proposal does is ensure those who wish to take advantage of this that they have studied over 3 years specific coursework as specified by this Court and satisfactorily completed those courses as well as the background check and the ethics. And upon those completions of that specified coursework and the other two factors, they would be admitted to practice law upon obtaining their diploma. This, of course, allows you to have greater control over what it is that students are required to take, what it is they must satisfactorily complete, and thus ensures greater competency, in my judgment, of the practice of law, the study of law, and the knowledge of Iowa law through this process. It really, as the old adage has sometimes said, what's old is new again. That's what this is. And the materials, of course, that the Court has to review, among those materials, and they're somewhere on the bar website, is a history of the diploma privilege, a scholarly article. And appreciate that at one time there never was a diploma privilege. There weren't any law schools. There was a bar exam, and you studied in the law office, learned from other lawyers, took a bar exam. When law schools came about, that's when the diploma privilege arrived, because it was viewed if you were going to school for a year or 2 years and studying, that was far superior to just working in someone's office. And if you had completed that satisfactorily, you would be entitled to practice with obtaining your diploma. And that was across the country. That, of course, retreated for a number of reasons, but the primary reason, if you look at the scholarly research, is that there was a breakdown in the collaborative relationship between the courts, the bar, and the law schools. Simply put, the courts and the bar didn't think the law schools were teaching what is required to be a competent lawyer, coupled with professional testing folks who had an agenda, who believed that science required that there be a specific test that a student had to pass. We think that this proposal is, as I said, is a bold, forward-thinking, progressive proposal that is consistent with the history of this Court. The forward-thinking action of this Court dating back to its very beginning with N. Ray Ralph all the way to the most recent decision of Varnum, demonstrating that this Court is always ahead of the curve and focused on the future. And this proposal does just that. Now, let me speak to some of the comments that have been made contrary to support for this proposal. First of all, I can tell you that I've read every one of the letters that have been submitted to you. I've gone around this state speaking to county bar associations. I've been on radio shows, television shows, public affairs programs talking about this subject. And frankly, my experience has been when I've had the opportunity to really discuss this in some detail, I can almost always bring people around because it is counterintuitive. And it does require thinking, as is sometimes said, outside the box. But when you pull back the curtain and really look at the data here, this makes all the sense in the world. Rather than testing for competence, the bar exam is essentially an achievement test. And it does not test what lawyers actually do. And there's strong scholarly evidence that suggests the bar exam merely verifies what has already taken place in law schools. In fact, research sponsored by the American Bar Association found that law school grades strongly correlate with bar pass rates. And moreover, the research has indicated that the LSAT score also correlates to bar exam pass rates. Therefore, it can be argued that if the exam tests legal competency, it is merely testing what has already been tested in a law student's career. It is not testing what is really critical to be an Iowa lawyer. Some of the folks that have written to you critical of this proposal, I think they fall into essentially 5 groups, 5 categories. One, those folks who are just against change. I took the bar exam, you should have to also. We all can appreciate that's not a particularly persuasive argument. Secondly, there are those who say that they went to law school and took a bar exam to elevate themselves from other professionals, whether it be insurance agents or real estate agents or financial planners. Well, appreciate this bar exam and diploma privilege is just that. There is still a bar exam with this proposal. Folks can take a bar exam. And those who've taken a bar exam can hold out to the public that they're bar examined if they think that has some value. I submit in my opinion that the public is not particularly concerned about the bar exam. They're concerned about what your reputation is and what your skill level is demonstrated as a lawyer, not whether you passed the bar exam or what your pass rate was on the bar exam. 3, there are people who have said that they learned something that they hadn't learned before in law school studying for the bar exam. That they learned substantive law. Well, I think that's an illusion. And I think that if that's true, it has to be a very, very small minority of folks. Because professional testers and professional educators will tell you that the surefire way to ensure lack of retention is to cram information into someone's head in preparing for a test, just to pass the test. Because that does not allow for retention. As contrasted with studying a subject over many months and being tested over many months, that ensures retention. So I think it's probably an illusion that folks think that they learned substantive law studying for the bar exam. But if they did, that's really an indictment of the coursework they took in law school. And what this proposal does is ensure that they are taking not only the courses on, let me use this analogy, the theory of welding, but they're also learning how to weld. And we think the diploma privilege does just that. But what it really does is provide this court with an opportunity to have control and specify what it is that must be completed satisfactorily to be a competent Iowa lawyer and to be licensed to practice law in this state. And it's far superior to what the current system is. You know, there are some folks who also say that the bar exam protects the public and weeds out the incompetent, as I said. We know the high pass rate exists, but when you really look at what we have here, there's really one question with 2 choices. Is it better on this hand to have an exam after 3 years of law school, 4 years of undergraduate school, one exam that is multiple choice with a handful of essays by an outside vendor that doesn't test over Iowa law as the barrier to admission? Or, on the other hand, 3 years of specified coursework, satisfactorily completed, as set out by the Iowa Supreme Court in collaboration with the law schools and the bar? It seems to me the answer is obvious, and it's the diploma privilege. This presents a unique opportunity in this time where the law schools stand ready to take your direction, to teach the coursework that this court believes is necessary to be a competent Iowa lawyer, as well as the other factors of the background check and the ethics. And I urge you to take this opportunity, this unique opportunity that presently exists. Some people say that the diploma privilege really is an argument for a better bar exam. And I answer that question by saying yes, in some ways it is. Instead of a bar exam over 1 day or 2 days, how about several exams over several months No, how about several exams over a year? No, how about several exams over several years, over 3 years? That's law school. Over specific coursework that you specify, that students must satisfactorily complete. We submit that that is essentially the diploma privilege and far superior to a multiple choice test and a handful of essays that doesn't test over Iowa law administered by a third-party vendor. I would close with this by quoting Winston Churchill, who once said, "No idea is so outlandish that it should not be considered." I urge you to consider this, and thank you for hearing my presentation.